Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my name is Endro Dwi Hatmanto, and now we will be talking about steps in writing the methodology of the research. Let's start. The methodology chapter of a research paper or thesis explain the research method and technique used to collect, analyze, and interpret the data. It serves as a detailed guide that allows readers to understand the research process, evaluate the validity and reliability of the study, and if desired, replicate the research. This presentation aims to provide example of step-by-step process of writing methodology section of research. For instance, as your study is entitled Teachers' Perception on the Use of Authentic Material in English Foreign Language Classrooms. And the question is, what part should we include? And what does each part contain? Let's discuss it one by one. The step one that you can employ is writing the research designs. Research designs. First, you need to explain the objective of the research. For examples, the objective of the study is to find out teachers' perception about utilizing authentic materials at an English education department in an Islamic private university in Yogyakarta, and the criteria in selecting authentic materials. And then you can also then explain the research approach used. For examples, the research uses qualitative approach, and then you need to explain the meaning of an approach using a reference. For instance, Creswell and Creswell argued that qualitative researchers usually acquire data in the field at the location where participants come into contact with the issue or topic being investigated. And then after that, you explain the reasons why you choose that research approach. The researcher chooses qualitative research since it is more in line with the objective of the study. It is because the researcher wants to get the data of teachers' experiences on the use of authentic material in their classrooms. You can take a look at here, ladies and gentlemen, that the present tense is used, and the present tense is suitable for writing the proposal. So this is the methodology section in the proposals, not in a research report. In a research report, you can change the present tense into the past tense. Next, after that, then you can describe the research method used here. For examples, the method under qualitative approach adopted by the researcher in the study is descriptive qualitative research design to describe teachers' perception on the use of authentic materials in EFL classrooms and criteria in selected authentic materials. And then you describe the characteristic of the method used using reference. The finding of descriptive qualitative research are presented by explaining the issue in depth depending on the participant experiences. And you need also to explain the reasons why you use the method. The reason for using descriptive qualitative research is because the researcher wanted to understand more about teachers' perception in utilizing authentic materials and criteria that can be applied to select the authentic materials. Next, let's talk about the step two, that is write the research setting. Okay, research setting. The first step is you need to explain two types of setting, that is setting of place and setting of times. For examples, there are two settings explained in the section, namely setting of place and setting of times, and then explain setting of place. For examples, regarding setting of place, the study takes place in English Education Department in an Islamic private university in Yogyakarta. And then you can follow it by explaining reasons why you choose that place. The researchers select this place for some reasons in order to meet the objective of the research. First, some courses in this department have applied and used authentic materials in teaching and learning process. Second, the place is where the researcher studies, and this will make the researcher easier to gather the data. Third, it is ensured that participants are at ease during data collection, particularly the interview session. Fourth, the time and circumstance between the researcher and the participants can be modified to fit the teacher's class schedule. Okay, next. And then after setting of the research, we are still talking about the setting of the research, right? Okay, and then after setting of place, we need to explain the setting of times. For example, this research will be conducted for 2 months in September, for example, 2024. The observation is carried out for a month and then followed by interviewing the participants in a month. Processing and analyzing data will be conducted as to produce credible and trustworthy data. The step 3 is write research participants. Research participants. First, you need to mention number of participants. For examples, for teachers at Department of English Language Education in an Islamic private university takes part in the study, and then explain the sampling strategy and its definition using a reference. Purposive sampling is used by the researcher to focus on determining the criterion. According to Cohen, Manion, and Morrison, the purposive sample is used for specific purposes. The characteristic for the participant is utilized as part of the purposive sampling to ensure the data received from the participant address the research question. And after that, you need to explain the criteria for participants. Researcher uses some numerous criteria for participants. First, the participant have experience in teaching EFL students by applying authentic materials in their classrooms. Second, participants adopt authentic materials for its use in teaching students on their own. Third, the participant acquire authentic materials from a variety of sources. Because this study aims to determine the criteria in selecting authentic materials at English Education Department, the source of authentic materials implemented by teachers are films, photos, poems, songs, and novels. And after that, you can explain the confidentiality of the participants. For example, you can use this kind of sentences here. To ensure the confidentiality, the researcher changed the participants' identities to pseudonyms like alpha, beta, gamma, omega, which are adequate for the study's requirements. As a result, the researcher employs pseudonyms to protect the participants' privacy and identities. And then after that, you detail the participants, like pseudonyms, gender, age, years of experience. Alpha are male teachers, and he is 23 years old, and he has 3 years of teaching experience. Beta is 24 female teacher, having 4 years of teaching experience, while Gamma is 22 a male teacher who has 5 teaching experience. The last participant, Omega, is 26 female teacher, and she has 5 years of teaching experience. Next. Step 4, write data collection method. First, explain the strategy to collect the data. This study implies an observation and interview to aid the researcher in completing the investigations. And then explain the first strategy to collect the data, that is observation. Don't forget to use references. The researcher conducts observation as a first step in gathering data. The researcher observed through Microsoft Teams while the teaching and learning process to get to know the authentic materials that are used by teachers in their classrooms. Observation will also be conducted into my class as online platform of this department. The researcher's role in this research was non-participant observer, according to, what do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? Kieskielska, sorry if I'm wrong in pronouncing it. Kieskielska, non-participant observers observe without being involved in the course's human interaction. Next. And then you can explain the first strategy to collect the data, that is interview. For example, like after the researcher complete the observation, the researcher conduct the interview as the second step in gathering the data. An interview is conducted to obtain more information in detail so that the data generated was consistent with the experience of the participant, and use references to explain the data collection strategy. Creswell, for example, stated that the objective of this interview is to elicit thought and opinions from the participant through unstructured question, even open-ended question. Teachers' experience, opinions, and knowledge about the topic were among the data that can be gathered, that can be gathered from the interviewed. Okay, next. And then you need also to explain semi-structured interview. Semi-structured interview is used in this investigation. For using semi-structured interview, the researcher developed interview guideline, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can also, and then you need to explain reason why you use semi-structured interview. Use references, So make sure to always use references because this is academic writing, For instance, the semi-structured interview is appropriate for the study because it tries to collect more data, okay? According to Mathers, Fox, and Hunt, a semi-structured interview allows for in-depth discussion, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is the sentences or the paragraph you can use, in explaining the semi-structured interview, right? Next. Okay, that's all, ladies and gentlemen. That's all, audience. We have talked about the step-by-steps in writing the methodology chapter, but it will be continued to the chapter 2. Thank you very much for your attention, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.